Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is your boy Jay Mace, aka Jarrell Mason. Welcome to another edition of Beyond the Album Cover, where we get inside the entertainment industry with those in the know and give them their flowers while they're here to be celebrated. With me right now, I have a brother that's been doing interviews with the legends in and around R&B, the host of R&B Soul Effect TV. You all know him as Mr. Soul Effect. Mr. Soul Effect, welcome to Beyond the Album Cover, my brother.
Hey man, pleasure to be here, man. Thank you for inviting me. I don't get opportunities like this, when it comes to, far as me being interviewed and stuff, and I appreciate it, brother.
No problem. I feel the same way where it feels odd when you're on the other side answering questions where you're used to peppering them out. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing, where you were born, and your first musical memory, like first CD or cassette or 12-inch vinyl that you remember buying with your own money.
Yeah, I was born in Charlotte, North Carolina, but raised in Louisville, Kentucky. Growing up, in the 80s, a teenager by the 90s, I was a fan of, Solid Gold, Club MTV, Video Soul. I was a fan of Soul Train, Dance Party USA, The Party Machine. And growing up, back then, I used to buy like Word Up magazines and stuff like that, Jet magazines. And I used to put posters of different my favorite artists is all over my walls and everything. And my mama, she looked at me like, what type of circus is this? But as a teenager back then, that was our thing and stuff. But when I was in elementary, I had my own podcast show. I went to a school called Chula Elementary. It was a show called Kids at Work. And it was me and my buddy Jamal, rest in peace. And we would talk about music. But the teachers back then was like, well, you can't say this, that. I know we could mention about rap because at that time NBA was taking over. So I said, okay, maybe try to find something that's positive, so I could talk about. So I did that for the third grade to the fifth grade. But my first CD, man, back then, when CDs was coming in, I wasn't big on CDs. I had like cassette tapes. My first cassette tape I remember was Bobby Brown, Don't Be Cool. And that was the first one. And that kind of like, opened my eyes up. But what made me do what I am today was like watching Donnie Simpson, Don Cornelius, watching Arsenio Hall. It did something to me, when I was about like 19 years old. I'm like, wow, they interviewing all these artists at the time. It was real hot. And instead of me want to be a rapper or want to, do other things and stuff, because I was good at basketball and football. But something in my mind told me this is where I need to be at. I wasn't too for sure until I got older, so I taking it real seriously things. But back then, man, I used to collect a lot of CDs and cassette tapes and stuff, because back then, like BET, MTV, and VH1, and having like Run Up magazines, On Beat, Jazz magazines and stuff, those were our Facebook, our Instagram, our YouTubes, and our Twitters. We didn't have the social media stuff. All that came late in the game. And as a kid, I was infatuated, buying the CDs and tapes, look at the back of the booklet, the album cover, see who wrote this, see who produced that. That's how I studied, all that, And then my first gig I did, I was 21. I was an intern and stuff. See, a lot of people don't even know that. My family don't even know this either, because a lot of times, when you get into things, family, they all over the place. They will hate this or that. So when I start getting to radio at my first break, and trust me, man, I was nervous. I was all over the place, man. But yeah, I've been doing this for a long time, man.
Man, that's crazy how your story and my story kind of sort of parallel, both Southern boys. I'm originally from North Carolina, based in New Mexico, studied Video Soul, Soul Train, and all those dance and video shows you mentioned earlier, and then just reading the liner notes on the back of albums and inside the inserts of cassette tapes and CDs. Now, as far as radio is concerned, what was the main radio station out of Kentucky that pretty much played your urban, that you pretty much had on the ready to record when you had your mixtape?
Well, back then, B96 was the go-to radio show back in the 90s and the early 2000s. You know, of course, you know, radio changed different DJs every 3 to 5 years and stuff like that. But back then, you know, I was connected with that and Imagine 101.3. So back then, you know, they played the artists that was real hot. So, you know, you have balance between R&B and rap music. So it was like, if I didn't catch nothing on TV, then I'll catch it on the radio and stuff. So yeah, man, you know, back then I was real Radiohead, you know. These days, all that's gone because we don't have that type of quality music like we used to and stuff, you know. Back then, I think, like, you know, throughout the years in the rotation, my earliest memory of radio, like, you could have like a top 20 countdown. It was like you had High Five, you had Jade, you had Bobby Brown, you had Heavy D, The Boys, you had Criss Cross. It was a balance in between. So it's like you had your R&B side, your rap side and stuff. But last time I listened to radio all the way was in 2004, last time. Ever since then, you know, the way music has changed, it has been like a straight flat line. So I barely even listen to radio like that, you know.
Right. Same here, because kids nowadays don't understand the impact of radio and that local DJ in that community. You were excited to get pulled over when you were the X number caller, or if you had that bumper sticker stuck on the back of your car to win whatever your station frequency amount of money was. And it was just a sight to see when they had a remote and you were able to get something out of that prize closet. Trust me, I know. I used to work in radio and used to have to deal with the prize closet. But as far as Kentucky is concerned, knowing that it really didn't have too much of a music scene, except for later on we had Nappy Roots and other acts coming out of Kentucky. Did you all feel Kentucky like, hey, want to be known for more than just the Kentucky Derby, Louisville Slugger, Fort Knox, and the birthplace of KFC?
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that though, because growing up in Louisville, Kentucky, man, I'm gonna tell you, you know, we had like a lot of basic talented artists. It just that there wasn't no guidance, there wasn't no motivation. Plus, the thing about Kentucky, it wasn't like California or New York, you know, where you could start a career, or Georgia. The only people that actually made it, you know, was a group called Player, and the two members, Smoke and Black. They went Drew Hill as like a replacement. Rest in peace, Static Major. Nappy Roots. It was a sprinkle of people, you know, that made, like you said, you know, Nappy Roots and stuff. But I think what hurt Kentucky the most is that we didn't have like that backbone to really, open, an artist's eyes to get out Kentucky and say, hey, I could make this, I could do this, you know what I'm saying? And the bad part about it, when the artists did perform, we had these so-called open mics and these little shows and stuff, you know, telling people, oh yeah, I could blow your career up. Then you wrote to a lot of janky contracts and, and then after a while, you know, it's like artists just lost hope and stuff, you know. I got a cousin, you know, she been rapping since she was like in middle school. And she almost had a deal with Juvenile, the rapper, and something happened. I think somebody lost contact and stuff and things fell apart. But, you know, in a good graces, I'm glad that situation that happened, though, because, you know, don't hear a lot of bad stuff about Juvenile when it comes to his artists. So, you know, learn less and different blessing. But then again, you know, I asked myself, you know, was he trying to stop my cousin because she was a great artist or because she was pretty? You know, so rappers, they do try to take advantage of artists. But yeah, man, you know, the way the Kentucky scene is now, the only artist that's really jumping is Bryson Tiller, even though he's not like a crossover smash, but for him to make a buzz for himself, he's like the last artist, you know, that's really doing real well and stuff. So yeah.
Now to sidebar a little bit, we're going to swing back to the music. Since you are in basketball heaven, aka Kentucky, and me being from North Carolina, of course, you know, Duke, North Carolina, the big in-state rivalry for college basketball. I got to ask, are you a Wildcat or are you a Cardinal?
I'm a Cardinal fan. Now, I ain't no Wildcat fan. You know, it's like, you know, growing up in Louisville, you know, I'm definitely a U of L fan. I'm just like, I like Kentucky Wildcats, but it just seems to me, man, you know, the way that the basketball is so narrated, it's sad though, because, you know, Louisville could have had a lot of great talent, you know, throughout the 90s and the 2000s. It's just that, you know, we could have had, you know, Derek Ashes, he's from Louisville. He went to Kentucky. Allie Houston's from Louisville. He was, you know, saying that he ended up playing for different teams. I'm thinking to myself, like, dang, why could we have these talented people there? I've never been a UK fan, man, you know, and it's always been that rivalry between the Cardinals and the Wildcats, man. I mean, one time I was working at Kroger's, and this old guy, I think he was about like maybe the 70s and 80s. He gonna ask me, you know, am I a Kentucky fan? Then I said, dude, you know, I'm a Cardinal fan for life, you know, and stuff. And then he said, I feel sorry for you. I said, no, dude, I feel sorry for you because your team lost out the first round. So yeah, man, you know, it always been like it kind of had North Carolina State and South Carolina State always had their issues and stuff, but that's how, you know, Louisville is.
Yeah, that's how it is, of course, with Duke and Carolina, because we were happy to give Duke that big old L this past Saturday in Cameron for Coach K's final game. Of course, you know, Louisville, great basketball tradition, late great Coach Denny Crum and Never Nervous Purvis, Dr. Duncanstein, and most recently Donovan Spider Mitchell.
Oh man, you know, I tell you, man, you know, one thing I can't say, like when it comes to sports, the players make it faster than the artists do. That is no lie, man.
Yeah, that's no lie, no lie about that, because North Carolina for a minute had the same struggles as Kentucky or any other Southern state that wasn't Texas or Atlanta, that you had to venture out in order to make it. Because of course we had Jodeci, Anthony Hamilton, Sunshine Anderson, and the likes, and now you're seeing Ninth Wonder, J. Cole, Rhapsody, and other artists from North Carolina really staking their claim in the national foothold and saying, hey, we got a different sound and you all going to embrace it. And I think pre-social media, that hurt all the other states that didn't really have a vibrant music scene, or at least the connectors in those areas that can really put you on, like a California, a New York, a Houston, Atlanta, or Memphis even.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because that's true though, because you know, I grew up being a fan of Dale Griffin when he played for Utah Jazz. I never had the opportunity to see him play for the Cardinals because, you know, I was born, you know, in '81, so I didn't get a chance to really, you know, see him play in the college though. But for what my mother and everybody else told me, you know, he was like the Michael Jordan of U of L. The high flying dunks and everything else. You know, he was good at Utah. Sad how his career kind of like slowly dwindled with the injury. Then when he did came back to coach, benched him, that kind of like really hurt it, you know, rest his legacy and stuff. But yeah, man, I mean, you know, I tell you this though, when it comes to Louisville, when we on a good road, I mean, it's like a sea of red. I mean, you see fans wearing Louisville hats, Louisville jackets. You know, I mean, the pride is real U of L. I mean, you know, and my father, you know, he was a big U of L fan too himself. So, you know, we take pride in our city. Just like, okay, like back in 2013, we won the national championship under Rick Pitino. Man, I never seen so much red in my life, man. I mean, you would think it was a gang or something. I mean, people throwing up the L sign for Louisville. And man, you know, that was like the only time I could say, besides Muhammad Ali passed away, to everybody, it was a peaceful week and stuff. No violence, no nothing going on. So yeah, man, you know, there was a great moment.
Right. And speaking of the GOAT, Muhammad Ali, can you just talk about the impact that he's had, not only in Louisville, but the world, and then also being from the same hometown and just knowing that there's remnants of the greatest everywhere?
Yeah, Muhammad Ali, you know, he definitely was a big inspiration, you know, in our community, especially in the west end of Louisville, you know, because I'm gonna tell you this is a true story. He grew up with my uncle named Charles. They around the same age and stuff, and they used to hang out from little kids up to like their teens and stuff before Muhammad Ali's career, you know, took off. Because he used to come to my grandfather's house, but me, you know, I definitely was a fan of Muhammad Ali. You know, I wish I could have saw him fight, you know, if I was, you know, around the age at that time. But watching like videotapes of him play, I said, wow, this guy, you know, he was, he was our, like he was our Michael Jackson. He was our Michael Jordan. He was our James Brown. He was just the culture of it. And, one thing I can't say about Muhammad Ali is that, he always took pride in his city. He never forgot where he came from. He never was a sellout. He loved his community. To have a street name named after him, as says a lot. But when he passed away, and so I knew that driving, I knew that driving down there, would be no luck. So me and my buddy, we caught the bus, saying down there, and to see, his farewell, because they had his body in a casket. So make a long story short, I see his daughter, Layla Ali, she was in the car and stuff. And man, I tell you, dude, I mean, I done seen a lot of fine entertainers in person, but that sister, man, man, beautiful though. And then I see her come out the limo. I remember I waved at her, and she blew a kiss and was like, "Thank you, for pray for me, my family and stuff." But what Muhammad Ali, man, for me, I can't speak for everybody, is that, no matter where you come from, never forget, who you are as a person. You can make it, it might take a long road, but once you get there, you succeed and stuff. And that will motivate any Black woman, any Black man, to do a lot of great things. And, Muhammad, people like Muhammad Ali, be from the hotel, it motivates me to who I am. So yeah, I definitely take pride in that.
Right. And to see how Ali risked it all, put it all on the line, stood on his principles, and the likes of John Carlos, Tommy Smith, Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, and Colin Kaepernick, how they were able to take a stand, willing to put it all on the line and forego riches for principles. And that's an honorable thing that you can do.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Because, he, one thing I can say about Muhammad Ali, he lived by the code. And, besides Churchill Downs bringing a lot of celebrities in, he had a lot, for him to be the first ever to come from Louisville to really cross over, during the prime of his career, and people being attracted to Louisville, he definitely, brought a different stratosphere, because one thing I can say about here in Louisville, is that we have a lot of great couple attraction, because like you said, when people think about Louisville, they think about, the horse racing and Muhammad Ali, maybe several things, but it's a lot, that we have out there, just that it's not marketed right, So I think that's what hurts, Louisville at the end. But there's a lot of great things out here, saying just that sometimes be from a different state, when you hear about stuff, you just hear about hearsay, but people don't tell you all. And it is also disappointing too, because we got, Jack Harlow, we got Bryson Tiller and everybody. They say they're from Louisville, but you don't see them really break it down, how this city is and stuff. A lot of great things. You just hear a lot of them, but you don't hear, what's going on.
Yeah, and while you're in Louisville, folks, be sure to copy your hot brown. You'll thank me later.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. It's plus on top of that, we got a lot of great Black-owned businesses in Louisville. We have a lot of great, restaurants and stuff. I mean, a lot of African cultures. It's very big in Louisville, just like any other state and stuff, man. We take pride in what we do. I mean, the restaurants, man, like you said, definitely go get you one. You would not be disappointed on that.
Yeah, and explain to the people, what is a hot brown and why it's so important to Louisville.
Hot brown, oh man, shoot. A hot brown. You know what? I'm gonna tell you. It's like, okay, it's like KFC. When you think about KFC, you think about Kentucky. It's like it's like eating a piece of chicken, and once you eat that, man, it's like you want to order it again. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I say, hot brown, man, is definitely more popular in Louisville, because I'm gonna tell you though, when it comes to products, what makes Louisville stand out is you got the what is it? Grippos, chips, Big Red, and hot brown and White Castles. You know what I'm saying? Because being Black, I know we don't make Grippos, chips, and Big Reds billionaires. Everybody from the hood don't ate that. Since anybody that's from my city knows what I'm talking about. But yeah, hot brown, man, trust me. once you get a hot brown, you would not be disappointed.
Yeah.
Don't lie.
Yeah, the Grippo and the Big Red sounds lovely and hood certified at a hood gas station near you. So the more suspect the gas station is, you know that food gonna be fire.
Man, that food gonna be straight fire, man. You would not be disappointed, man, because Grippo's chips is the one chips I can say that I never got burnt out of. I never drunk Big Red because I was a Big Red person, but like my mom and her friends and my auntie, they was Big Red, fanatics. Me growing up, I was more like a Pepsi person, so I never cared too much for, drinking Big Red. I guess because my taste buds, wouldn't, accept that stuff, though. But yeah, Big Red was definitely the main drink back there.
Facts. And if you're ever anywhere in the South, there's a restaurant you all must try called Cookout. You will not be disappointed. Founded in North Carolina, be sure to get you a double tray or a cheddar cheese chicken tray. No onions with mayo and bacon, and then the double-sided fries. And they have the great North Carolina export called Cheerwine. You will thank me later.
Yeah, definitely. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I like about that too, because growing up, even though I like the Doritos and Funyuns and other little chips I ate over the years, but Grippo was my number one chip because of how I got introduced to Grippos. It was back in 1987. I never forget my cousin. He came out of the store, and back in those days, when Pepsi used to be in glass bottles before it became plastic, and he used to get like free drinks, like long as that the bottles were empty and clean, he'd be able to, get like refills and stuff. So one day, I was about maybe 5 or 6 years old, and he said, "Sean, do you want you?" He said, "I'm gonna buy you a Grippo bag." I said, "Okay, cool." And then he gave me the bag. So as a little boy, I ate. I said, "Man," in my mind, I'm like, "This is really good." Since then, man, I became a Grippos fanatic. And so, Doritos like number 2 on my list, but yeah, Grippos, yeah, that's my number 1. So, I swear that's the only chips I could say I could eat forever. So if I had to choose between Doritos and Grippos is quicker.
Yeah,
so
Grippos cut Mr. Solar Fett a check, and Waffle House cut me a check, but you got to make sure you go to a sketchy Waffle House.
Exactly.
And it gets live after midnight. So if you're a lame or a nerd, don't go to Waffle House after midnight because it gets real in the field.
Nah. Yeah, dude, in Louisville, do not go to Waffle House at midnight because I swear people have gotten robbed. It's like, it's better go to Waffle House between 8 in the morning. The ladies maybe like 7 in the evening, but yeah, 12 a.m. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's the worstest time. The only place I can say it's safe to go to the Waffle House is this street called Eastern Parkway. It is down the street from Louisville campus. That's the only place I could say that, if you do go to Waffle House, that's the safest place, say if you want to eat at. But everywhere else in Louisville, nah, don't do it.
Yeah, anywhere near a college campus, you're going to be so safe. Go a couple of blocks east, north, south, or west, and it's a little suspect. Don't ask for directions.
Yeah, absolutely. Nah, please don't. Say that's what I got GPS for.
Yes. The element is outside and in full effect, just like how back in the days with nightclubs, and how, when certain people come up in the crowd, you could tell they have black Air Force One energy. And when they say, "Let me go to my car," they're not going for license and registration either.
Nah, they really ain't. They really ain't. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to be worried about pulled by no police doing that crap. You know what I'm saying? Or nobody trying to, stick up, because that's the only Waffle House I ever ate and stuff. I mean, I've been to a different Waffle House before in the past, but the atmosphere, is different and stuff,
Right.
And you got some people that's around you, they want to try other things, but that it's not safe to be around that area, you know what I'm saying? But right. Yeah, some people, man, they just messed up in the head. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, speaking of not safe, crunk music in a nightclub in the early 2000s was bound to get you smashed up, your lip busted, wig split, mean mug, yeah. Cold cop. So can we talk about the importance of the crunk era, what that whole scene in Atlanta, then also 3 6 Mafia, right, who I felt was kind of the precursor to what was going on in Atlanta with crunk and Little John, because they had their right own vibe, because once Montana Club Up came on, you knew chairs was about to be flying and there was going to be some furniture moving.
Oh, man. You know what, man? I'm going to tell you, man, because when the 90s, was a rap, when the 2000 came in, I remember when I saw Lil Jon, and this before Lil Jon became who he is. It was back in the 2000s. It was a song called "I Like Them Girls," and when I saw it on BET, this was 106 Park. No, this was rap. This was Big T was still hosting Rap City, and I never forget. I was coming home from school, and I said, "What in the Negro hell is this shit?" So that's the first impression I had. And then all of a sudden, though, here come the Ying Yang Twins. Here come Lil Scrappy. Here come all these other rappers, Bone Crusher, all in between. That's when I knew that R&B was starting slowly having a decline. Even though you had Usher, the Shanti, the Sierra was still, keeping R&B at effect. But I knew that this was the wave that was going to overshadow of how soul music, once was. Because one thing people don't realize too, when there's a new wave coming in, the music executives, the whole mainstream media, they will invest into that. Sometimes it be for the good, and sometimes it be for the bad. Just like how when New Jack Swing came in, that became a great investment. It's like when hardcore rap came in, that became a new investment, and that's how all those flavors have. But crunk music, man, I'm gonna tell you straight up. I mean, there's some songs I like, but some of that stuff, man, it was getting a little too overrated, But I knew that wave was gonna, fade out some type of way, what I'm saying? But as far as in Atlanta, man, it put Atlanta on the map because people forget that when RJ 2000, he was at the Source Awards back in 1985. This is coming from the Southern Police of Cali music, and when the whole East and West Coast had a beef, when he said that South Side got something to say, that blew, the whole South up, even the state of Georgia up, And then to see how, South music, began in the 90s ways down, man, it's bad, it's crazy, man. For me, I mean, it's like for me, it's like when there's a certain sound, I don't hate on nobody. It's just that I'm not really a big fan of it, and stuff. But I mean, Ti, one of my favorite artists is and stuff. I could say that I could really listen to and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I mean, everybody go here saying, say, yeah, what? What I'm saying? So, and I'm gonna tell you what's so funny though. When Lil Jon was dominated, that era, man. It's like you could not go nowhere around that time without hearing Lil Jon's catchphrases. I mean, with like Louisville, they had a club called Breaking Ice. They had another club called Phoenix Hill and a bunch of other areas. Back then, you go to these clubs, man, everybody, be black, white, Asian, Mexican, everybody was saying that. So it just goes show you, saying like how popular that was back then and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And then, but I knew the movie was dying down when it got like around 2007. That's when I knew that it was going to another wave.
Right. But at that time, it was dance at the club at your own risk or be prepared to start fighting.
Yeah, you ain't lying, man, because I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Well, this was back in 2003. This was Lil Scrappy was like on fire, man. I went to this club called Phoenix Hill, and thank God that club went down, man, because every Wednesday, man, was college night, supposed to be college night. And I never forget, okay, we went to Phoenix Hill. The first floor was the R&B floor. The second floor was the hip hop floor. The third was rock and something else. And when they played Little Scrappy, so man, it was one fight. It was a far left. You had two dudes fight over a girl, and then on the other fight, you had like two women dressed like boys. I mean, it was getting to it, man. It was wild, man. I mean, one song, destroyed the whole club, man. And as me, my boys, who was leaving out, two girls get into it. There was heavy set. They wasn't fist fighting. They were just grabbing each other, trying to pound each other on the concrete, man. It was crazy, man. So the club scene was dangerous back then.
Right. Especially like when I first heard Juju on the beat, I was like, man, that ain't nothing but Nucky Buck.
Yeah. That's all it is, man. That's all it is. Ain't no remakes. Because, after a while, I think we heard crunk music, we hear a lot of, yeah. Everything else starts sounding the same. you know. And I think, you know, what heard the crunk music and just that, it created a lot of violence and stuff because Atlanta at the time used to be the to-go state. Besides, like, for celebrities, like, if you didn't live in New York or LA, then Atlanta was the place to be. It ain't like what it used to be now, you know what I'm saying? You
Mhm.
know, but Atlanta do got a lot of talent. I think what hurts Atlanta the most is that is so much infatuated with gun violence, and you have women, you know, dressing like they have to do an audition for Love and Hip Hop,
Mm.
and it hurts, you know, other artists trying to, bring some peaceful music to Atlanta. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's sad because there's no creativity to it. So, like I said, you know, the old heads have had to really come together, really, you know, do something about that, man. You know, but
Yeah,
it
that's
all starts. Yeah.
yeah, that's why Ludacris said in Georgia and Phil Mob, that's why he had to keep his Georgia Tech close by, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. It ain't talking about basketball either.
Now, shout out to them Yellow Jackets at Georgia Tech. Megatron just got
Yeah.
inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But speaking on New Jack
Yeah.
Swing, can we just talk about how when Keith Sweat's Make It Last Forever album came out in 87, how that
Yeah.
shifted the sound of R&B and later with I'll Be Shore's In Effect Mode, Guys' debut album in 88, in New Edition's Heartbreak album in 88, Bobby Brown's Don't Be Cool album same year, and
Yeah.
how prior to those monumental albums in that era, how R&B changed.
You know what? Okay. When 1987, you know, rolled in, you know, prior to that, you know, back then, you know, R&B was trying to find a hole because here it was, you know, we just, you know, disco finally died out. And R&B at the time would start sounding kind of pop because you have Michael Jackson doing pop and a lot of Richie and stuff. But, you know, when Make It Last Forever came out, man, that, you know, definitely, like you said, changed the game because, you know, the production of Teddy Riley, man, you know, he took New Jack Swing, you know, it took R&B on a different level because all of a sudden, man, you know, when that wave came in, dude, I mean, it became, New Jack Swing became a monster because Video Soul, man, you know, they played the hell out of those videos, man. And, you know, the culture, man, started coming to life, you know, and like New Jack Swing, especially from New York, to be birthed in New York, man, you start to see a lot of artists and groups and everybody, man, start to really, you know, benefit off of that. And they did, you know. You know, some of them came and went, but the ones that became a mainstay, man, just took things to orbit. Make It Last Forever, man, to be the Kickstarter of it, man. I tell you, man, that album definitely the blueprint. You know, I'll Be Sure and Bobby Brown, Don't Be Cool album, man. Those albums, man, definitely, you know, took New Jack Swing to new heights and stuff. So definitely was a milestone. But as far as Keith Sweat, man, you know, they got to give him credit because to kick off what his album did, you know, it inspired a lot of artists who want to do the same thing. You know, it inspired Bobby Brown, inspired Al B. Short, inspired, Teddy Riley's old group guy, you know, the rest is history, man. So yeah, New Jack Swing definitely my number one favorite genre.
Yeah, I agree. And it had so much spread and influence that the pop world had to
Yeah.
get in on. Of course, New Kids on the Block had elements of New Jack Swing in their records. Paul Abdul, and she did a
Yep.
remix of Straight Up that was produced by Mr. Marley Marl, which is a
Yep.
dope fire remix. And then, of course, you know, everything else that came on after that. And then from New Jack Swing, we have the transition into hip hop soul and everything that Diddy did while he was over at Uptown. Rest in peace, Andre Harrell, with Mary J. Blige and Jodeci. And you mentioned Player, and with Jodeci, Devontae Swing had put
Yep.
Player along with Timbaland, Missy, Tweet back when she was in this group called Sugar, and Missy was in a group called
Yep.
Sister, which was the female equivalent to Jodeci. So again, we just talk about their influence and how Devontae just had an eye for talent with all the talent he had in the basement.
Man, you know what? When New Jack Swing faded out like in '94, and I'm glad you brought it up, man. Before I get to that, man, you know, because when Mary J. Blige came out with the hip hop soul, you know, sound, you know, in 1992, you know, through, you know, various producers and stuff, it was different because you and I know back then, just about all the female artists was the same, just about almost to a certain extent. When Mary J. Blige came, man, she carried herself as a rapper, even though she was a singer, but she had like this hip hop energy to her, and that changed the whole chord to the music. Um, but far as like you were saying with Devontae Swing, man, we had like what's called like the Swing Mob or something like that. Because I
Yeah.
remember when Missy Elliott was in a girl group, and I remember Video Soul played a song a couple times. I can't think of the ladies in the group. And I'm gonna tell you what's so funny about that. When I looked at Missy Elliott in that group, I felt like she didn't fit right for that. Even though the song was dope, when I saw her, I said, man, something about this lady right here in the middle. I felt like she's definitely going to really, get into her own zone. It was weird when I said that. All of a sudden, a year later, you saw she hopping in remixes with that group called Broken Stuff. She's Mine. She just man took things to a whole. Devontae, man, you gotta give him credit regardless of the shenanigans that was happening for him to birth out Timbaland, Missy Elliott, Player, Giovanni, only was it Magoo. I can't say everybody made it out of it because everybody, had different avenues in their careers, but the ones that did made it, you can tell they had great potential. To see where they are now, man, it's a pretty blessing, man. So
Yeah, true.
definitely.
And speaking of Player, if you all get a chance to listen to that Cheers to You album, please do so.
Yeah, man, classic, But I could tell you, man, because I knew New Jack Swing was fading out because around that time, around like 93, that's when artists stopped doing less New Jack Swing. It was like a handful, but not a whole lot. And then when and people don't, I'm gonna say this though, okay. Even though the world gives Erykah Badu, D'Angelo, uh, was it Maxwell credit or Neo Soul Sound, people don't realize that the group John A, the duo, they have Neo Soul in their music. That was kind of like a pre-Neo Soul. And I don't think they get the credit because it was kind of like the kickstart in the middle when New Jack Swing was still on fire, 93, 94 around that time. So that was kind of like of it though. But for me, New Jack Swing, man, definitely, man, was, I tell you, man, it's funny, man. That's like the only, genre I could say that you look on Instagram, you look on Facebook, you look at all these groups, man. It's like so many New Jack Swing pages, man. It's unbelievable, man. So back then, people used to dance in clubs,
Right.
so New Jack Swing definitely, man, for what it does is unbelievable. No, but like you were saying, hip hop soul, man, I tell you, man, it took me a while to get used to that. Cause I was still, still in my new, I was still a fan of New Jack Swing. Because sometimes, when certain situations phase out, when other one comes in, it takes a while to grow on to it. So,
Mhm.
but it didn't take that long at all. But yeah, man, hip hop soul, man, to have Brady Blige, bring it in. Then you had Jody Steve, everybody else, man. That really took R&B, man, to different levels, man. That's
Mhm.
what I like about R&B. It's so many layers of it. Because R&B is the mothership. It birthed out so many, sounds of it.
Right. Give me your top three most underrated albums during the New Jack Swing hip hop soul era.
Ooh, top three underrated New Jack Swing albums. Man, oh man. Let me see. The top three. Okay. Well, you know what? Okay. I'm gonna name the top three, and I'm gonna break down the stories behind it too. Okay, the Boys album, the third album, Soccer Continues. Okay, what else? New Jack Swing. High Five second album, Keep It Going On. Okay. Damn, man. This is like put me on the spot, man.
Dun,
Okay,
dun, 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 dun.
okay. You know what? This is it's not. Let me see. Okay. Special Generations, no, it's not New Jack Swing album. It's like in between. You know what, man? It's kind of hard, man. You know what I'm saying? So many great albums, man. Okay. The Mo Money soundtrack. definitely underrated in my eyes. Because it don't get a lot of praises like Boomerang does, but I get it because it came out around the same time as that soundtrack does and stuff. So yeah, man. I hope it wasn't missing anything, in between. But no. Scratch that. Keith Sweat's album, Keep It Coming. Definitely was an underrated album. Definitely was underrated.
Right. And and I believe on that album, Joe Public did some stuff on that album too. And they were underrated as well.
Yeah, definitely underrated, man, because it's weird, like when Keep It Coming came out, okay, Keith Sweat, he had number one hit, was a self-titled Keep It Coming. The album went number one. It knocked out Michael Jackson, Dangerous album, Temporary. And then when that song called YB Baby, I think what kind of heard that was, okay, you hear Ella Cool J talking on the original track, and then the remix, you see her rapping and stuff. And I think that kind of helped out a whole lot. I think around that time, around 91, 92, 93, it was a whole ship change going on, in that gap. But I feel like, I feel like Keith Sweat should definitely got a lot of praise off the album because the album was dope. It just that sometimes, man, with albums, it's like you only get that one type of high praises. It's like, we look at Mike Brown. You think of, as far as album wise, think of Don't Be Cruel. People look over the Bobby album. The Bobby album is dope. But I tell people all the time, it's way how these executives market it. And it's nothing wrong having artists have a creative freedom, but sometimes it's good to have people somebody like Jimmy J. Lewis to kind of like, put their 2 cents in to kind of spike things up. But it's a very combination of some albums being slept on.
Right. And I'll give you my 3 plus an honorable mention. In no particular order. Prince Marky D in the Soul Convention, Free, rest in peace, Prince Marky D.
Yeah.
Intro's debut album. And the other album that I want to put in there is Joe's debut album, Everything, which was on Mercury. So it was a shame that album got slept on, but he later reaped the rewards once he left Mercury to go over to Jive.
Oh man, I'm glad you point that out, man. Because I wish I would have thought of that question, man. Because that album, Joe's first album, Everything, is the most slept on album. But see, I remember Joe when he first came out. We hear like the flat top cut and stuff, and I remember his videos. And it's weird because sometimes, like, I look at the comments on YouTube, or like I might post a video of Joe for them. That's why I always post some of the stuff on the first album to remind her. And people would say, "Oh, remember that album?" That's probably because you had no cable, But but on a serious note, the thing about Mercury Records, they did, it's like they really did promote Joe enough. Because they had Joe, they had Brian McKnight, they had a various of people. So it's like, it's sad part about it. You hear this, Joe's first album, I'm in Love, The One for Me, All or Nothing, 3 banging joints. that album should have went platinum at least. And for some reason, the album got slept on. I think that have Joe would have been with Jive Records at first, that album could have had really took things straight to orbit, what I'm saying? And it's funny though, because people didn't really start becoming Joe fans until he did All Things That Men Won't Do for the Don't Be Minutes, which is on his second album, All That I Am. So it's weird how, how artists push, but yeah, that album definitely, should have went platinum, man, because the album was slamming.
Yeah, Mercury to me just really wasn't a good home for R&B acts. They're more known for pop rock, John Cougar Mellencamp, later Hanson, and I don't know if you know, but Mercury had a chance to sign Backstreet Boys. But when John Mellencamp got word, he was like, "I'll leave y'all if y'all sign this boy group," because this was after the New Kids hype and everything like that. And America was trying to get back into the pop swing, and Mercury's lost. Jive's game.
Yeah, man. Because that's the thing too. Because I think it's best for a Black, executive or promoter to deal with a Black artist. Because if you have somebody that's obviously your race, and I don't want to sound like it's racist or like that, but I think it's best to always deal with your own race because at least with somebody who is black and they know how to market a black artist, they know where the place to go to make sure this artist succeeds through and stuff. A lot of times when you deal with the opposite race, you're gonna get a lot of shenanigans, like for example, just like with Capitol Records, same way as, Mercury Records, man, I like their label folded. And just like Giant Records, it's like how you gonna sound an artist, you know how to market it. It's like you want these black artists in, but you know how to market them. Come on now, it's all common sense. So that's why I say, if you can't push it right, hire somebody in to really take them to a whole different level. So it's not only a loss for the artist, it's also a big loss for them where they messed up at. So, man, like I said, Joe, I wish he did had that push like he did for the rest of his albums that was real well, but you know how that goes, man.
Right. And my honorable mention album is NKOTB's 94 Face the Music album. And I think what killed that was it was at the height when they got too big, and that's why they changed their name from New Kids on the Block to NKOTB. But when I interviewed Danny Wood, he was telling me that they had recorded that album too late and missed on catching that last little bit of that New Kids wave before it started to crash out.
Yeah, and that's I think that's what hurts the artists too, though, because when they take a break and stuff, and that's one thing artists get burnt out, feel exhausted and stuff. But when you take a break too long, it hurts. Like what's her name, Tracy Spencer, when she was like the hot commodity, for Capitol Records, when Capitol Records was looking for younger artists after they felt like, even though we had the Whispers and Nevermore, we need to go to a younger market. And you know how music executives are and stuff. And Tracy Spears like the number one, golden artist because they had her in Special Generation. When she took a break, decided to focus on school, which is cool, but when she did came back, it was like too late. Especially when the artists take a 7-year gap, then you're lucky, you might go platinum again, but not too many artists that can do it
Yeah, because I know Sammy kind of did the same thing once from the bottom to the top, blew up. He took a hiatus, came back years later, but he took his break too early, right before Chris Brown and everybody else came in and really missed catching that wave.
Yeah, man. The only artist that got lucky was Maxwell when he took a break from 2002 and he came back in 2009. He's the only one that came back with platinum, got a Grammy, and is the only one. And that's the thing too, though. Like you said, when your career just gets started at your peak, keep it going. I can see if you made like 5, 6 albums, you took a break in between. That's understandable. But when you on your second album or your first album, you got to keep it going because you in the kickstart of what's getting ready to happen, and that's what hurts the artist's value when it comes to those situations and stuff and things. It's just sad, how stuff like that happens, with artists. And people always say to me, whatever happened to this artist? Just check out this story, or read it, and then you'll get the better understanding of what happened when it came back and stuff. So it's sad too, because like when Tracy came in, she was the only female artist as far as the teenager that was making like platinum gold records. When she disappeared, saying here come Aaliyah, here come Brad, here come Monica. So people forgot about Tracy Spencer and went on straight to them. So it's like when you take a break for the music for a long time, they create another you in this business. That's just how it is.
Right. Industry rule number 4080. Now let's talk about how I feel this group was severely underrated. They had hits, and their biggest thing to me was that they were able to take records that originally wasn't theirs, but make it their own, and they could dance their behinds off. So I'm talking about those boys out of Pasadena, Alan, Rodney, Reggie, rest in peace, John, and Steve, Troop.
Yeah, man, Troop, man. I tell you, what? I'm gonna tell you, man. Those brothers was a dancing machine group, man. I mean, they danced. When I say they dance hard, they danced hard. I mean, when I was coming up, man, especially like the second album, Attitude Era, between like 89 91. Oh my God. I mean, Troop, had like the music world palm their heads because it was the only group that was dancing even though you had the boys and stuff that was dancing, but Troop had that magnetic, man. I mean, those dudes was, I mean, to have, two number one back-to-back hits, Spread My Wings, all do was thank you in the verse of top 10 hits. You couldn't go nowhere without hearing Troop song on radio, watching watching Bit I Love, Video Vibrations, when we had the box. They was on Club MTV, the Party Machine. I mean, those dudes was bad, man. It was like 5 Michael Jacksons in one. And, they was ahead of their time, man. I just wish that, had they would have stayed focused and kept the business together, man, they would have more than found a way. They probably would have maybe like 12, all together, and more success in between. But as far as Troop, you definitely got to put them up there as one of the greatest boy bands, to make their impact and stuff. That's what he did, especially before Josie and all these other groups came in, because Troop picked up where New Edition left off, and when New Edition went on his solo ways, and the boys too. So, to pick up and continue that boy band tradition.
Right. And because you mentioned New Edition, how New Edition's dance style is more of the school of Temptations, Shy-Lites, Whispers, Blue Magic, because that's who Brooke Payne was influenced by when putting together the steps for New Edition. But Troop, their dancing was slick, hard, and it was just as tight. And I don't know if you know this, but Turned Away by Chucky Booker was originally supposed to go to Troop.
Yeah, I remember that story, man. And I was pitching it too, because I remember hearing about it in the interview. I think it was yours. I think it was it Halftime Chat 1 or 2.
Yeah. When I interviewed Chucky, he told me that. And then when I interviewed John, Steve, and Rodney, they all confirmed that it was true that Turned Away was supposed to go to them. But when Sylvia Rhone heard it, she told Chucky, it's going on your album. And when Chucky told Troop that she said Turned Away was for me, they were like, man, we want a song similar. And that's how we got Spread My Wings.
Oh, man, yeah, man. Because I can only imagine, I can imagine if they had Turned Away, did add Spread My Wings on that album probably would have went double platinum. I bet you, I tell you, Troop, when I saw them perform on Arsenio Hall show, and I remember when this is when the third album, Deeper, came out, and when they did Whatever It Takes to Make You Stay, man, they danced their butts off and stuff. I like how they all crashed down on the ground. I thought that was super dope and stuff, and Troop is dope, man. Like, I don't think they get the credit they deserve, because here it is, you have boy bands that were singing, but they wasn't dancing. So it's like Troop, they gave you both. You know, that's what made them so unique.
Right. And talking about New Edition, I want to get your take on the Battle of Boston performance that they did at the AMAs with fellow Boston group New Kids on the Block, and how, for me, as a fan of both groups, it was amazing to see how it had been talked about for years about New Edition and New Kids with the Maurice Stark connection, and how New Kids pretty much took what New Edition did on the pop side and really exploded it, and how Donnie, Danny, all the guys said if it wasn't for New Edition, there'd be no us. And then to see BTS and a lot of the younger groups in the crowd show reverence and respect to those two groups that pretty much paved the way for, we could pretty much go 4 decades worth of male pop and R&B groups. So can we talk about the impact of both New Edition and New Kids on the Block?
You know what? When I got the word about when New Edition, New Kids on the Block was performing together, it wasn't no brainer. I knew, as far as a fan, I knew that was going to come together. And as far as a businessman, that was a great situation, because it showed that here it is, New Edition came in the game, both groups from Boston. It showed that, no matter how much success and fame they had, it showed, because when I saw the two perform it, I said, man, this is epic, man, because to have one of the greatest boy bands of all time, one of the most talked about boy bands of all time, the most celebrated boy bands of all time, I thought that was epic. I thought to myself, I said, man, I wish it would have done that back in the day, back in the 80s, but, politics and everything. But I thought it was cool because this was needed for the culture. And I'm glad they're older because there were no egos, with all this riffraff, anything like that. But I'm glad that the new school groups like BTS and other groups saw that. It shows you that, you could be like it too, as long as you stay focused, keep a circle small, don't let outside people come in messing with what you got going on and stuff. And I'm glad that American Music Awards put New Kids on Block, New Edition together, because one thing people don't realize this, American Music Awards always show love to New Edition, group and solo as New Kids on the Block, because when people look at it from like the late 80s and early part of the 90s, they always show love. And then for it to come back to, for those two boy bands to come together, it showed the world that regardless of the age, they can still put on a good show. So, yeah, but I can tell you, it was so funny, man. When the show was aired, people on my Facebook, that's a New Edition fan, everybody was like, oh, come on, man. When New Edition go perform and stuff. I get it, but it's like going to a concert. So it's like you got the open act, you got the big card, you got the headliner. It's like when you pay your ticket, you're going to have to wait. So that's just how it is. Me, I was cool, man. Like whenever they came on, I would just have it. They was performing.
Right. And speaking of paying your ticket, New Edition is currently out on tour right now with the Culture Tour with themselves, Uncle Charlie at some spot dates, and Jodeci. So, and then New Kids, they'll be going out on tour again, I believe in May, with their mixtape tour that they do every year. This year's lineup is themselves, Rick Ashley, En Vogue, and Salt and Pepper. But it just goes to show how both those groups, strong impacts, still out touring, making money. And I think what gets lost in New Kids pop success was that they were trained and assembled to be an R&B group, but it was only once that pop station out of Florida started playing Please Don't Go Girl, that was when MTV, Nickelodeon, and everything that was pop came along, because remember, they made a bootleg version of the video for Please Don't Go Girl, which you only saw on BET.
Yeah, because when I remember as a little boy, when I first heard Please Don't Go Girl, and I was like, I said, man, what is this right here? When I first heard it, before I saw the video, I thought it was an old song from New Kids on the Block, or a release track or something. And then when I saw the video, I was like, what? I was like, man, they singing the R&B record. And yeah, man, and I went to what's so funny about that. When that song blew up, they performed on Showtime and Apollo. And then by that time, this is when The Right Stuff, came out. And you see them dancing. All the fans in the crowd were saying, go white boy, and for them to be accepted in the Black, community as far as R&B, man, that was new to us, compared to it is now, man. So, for them to start out like that, that was, man, that was an easy acceptance quicker than any, white artist, get sent to a Black, crowd.
Right. And then speaking of New Edition, the crazy thing about New Edition, they had success as a group, but then all 6 members branched off to do solo ventures. And then Michael Bivins discovered one of the best-selling male groups of all time, Boyz II Men. So can we just speak on how New Edition, together and apart, influenced pop and R&B? And we saw how when the miniseries came out, it did record numbers. When they got their star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, numbers came out for the ceremony. And then with this Culture Tour, how they're pretty much almost selling out every venue.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you, I said this in a lot of times in Facebook Live. I said this in Instagram. I done said this, even, writing things down. New Edition is the only group, this ain't about the color. This is just, just the group itself. They're the only way number one as a group and have platinum success. But to go number one, all 6 members went number one solo. Melvin DeVoe went number one, Mike Brown went number one, Brad Transvant, Johnny Gill. The Jacksons never got a chance to do that besides Michael and Jermaine. But, for them to, to have Bobby win a Grammy, to win a People's Choice Award, that's on a different level. and stuff. And I think that those situations should always be talked about. And for them to have a Star Walk of Fame, I was like, finally, they should have got that further than that, but they definitely need to be the Rock Hall of Fame because I tell you, like I didn't realize how big New Edition impact was until I got on Facebook. I mean, man, I kid you not, man. Like when I started joining these fan clubs and stuff, I was like, wow. It's like besides the Jacksons, there's so many New Edition fan clubs. I was like, wow, man, it's unbelievable because you have fans. They would travel around the world just to go see these guys and stuff. I mean, you name it, man. I mean, they up there. So that's why I say, when it comes to the greatest boy bands of all time, you gotta put New Edition up there, because not just what they done as a group, and what they done solo individual and stuff. I mean, man, their impact, man, I could say, man, it's unbelievable.
Right. And when you think about Bobby and how he milked Don't Be Cruel for 4 years, from 88 until 92, the release of the Bobby album, that he was eating off of that one album. The album went diamond. That means 10 million sales. Most popular best-selling album of 1989. I mean, that album, you got to give it to him. And also you got to give it to LA and Babyface and also Teddy Riley, who did My Prerogative, how they were able to take Bobby's bad boy edge and smooth it out, a la kind of sort of what BBD was saying, smoothed out on the R&B tip, hip-hop wise, because Bobby had that hip-hop bravado, but you just had to smooth it out with that clean, pristine R&B production that only LaFace could bring.
Yeah, man. You know what? It was like, Bobby Brown was like, there was a time when that album came out, when the album did what it's supposed to do. He was like, he was like the next Michael Jackson in '89. I mean, to have Don't Be Cruel, My Prerogative, Roadie, Rock With You, Every Little Step. And, and it was crazy because he became way more bigger than New Edition. He was performing at way bigger arenas than New Edition. To be on magazines that New Edition get, it's one thing going platinum and your career is going one way, boy, but when your album goes diamond, your career is going so many higher levels because it's one thing, when an artist with a Grammy, that's to be suspected, but when they win a People's Choice Award, that's a whole different level and stuff, and Bobby, to go on tour off that one album from 1988 to 1991, that's unbelievable, man. I mean, that's what I can't. That's what I can't say. Now that album definitely needs to be the Grammy Hall of Fame because to have LA Babyface and Teddy Riley produce your album, you definitely got a monster. And when he came in, Bobby, as far as a solo artist, he transitioned to that. He was different. The majority of young male solo artists and stuff. And what he brought to the game at that time, man, would never be taken away. For his album to be listed in the Rolling Stone magazine, that, no saying right there.
Right. And to see him still standing, torn with his brothers and all that he's gone through personally, it's a testament to his will and just the love that everybody has for Bobby. So big shout out to Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, Mike, Ralph, Johnny, and also Brooke, the silent one, the seventh member of any, and how Brooke, if you look at the miniseries, Brooke, how he took them when they were kids, gave them the inspiration, gave them the dance moves, and was there from thick and thin and just invested in them. I just want to give Brooke his flowers. And I was just so proud and shocked that he agreed to do the interview with me when I was in college, because Brooke rarely does interviews, but just to give him his flowers and how he, I feel, is the backbone of New Edition. And also, for those of you who don't know, Ronnie DeVoe's uncle.
Yeah, Brooke Payne, he definitely the seventh member of New Edition because he done put a lot of work in. I mean, at a time to take 5 boys from Boston, and to build on what he has today, of course, Johnny Gill later on and stuff, but to take the group to where he needed to be at, man, it says a whole lot, and Brooke Payne definitely deserves his flowers, and I'm glad that movie came out because it centered around what he was trying to do for the group and stuff, and I thought it was the great, and then for New Edition be young as it was, 13, 14, 12, years old, to go to Brooke Payne and want them to work with them. Ain't too many kids, that age 12, 10, 13 years old, come to you and say, hey, we want to work with you because, we see you working with, I think it was Stylistics or something like that. And man, that says something, man. So New Edition definitely was ahead of time, man. But Brooke Payne, he definitely deserves his flowers. He definitely deserves to be the Hall of Fame, I mention, but but that's politics and everything, man.
For sure. And then the one thing about the miniseries was that it just shows the professionalism of New Edition, how you never knew their inside drama. They always kept a professional on stage, and they had their stuff off stage, but it never got leaked out to the public.
No, never got leaked out. And one thing I can say about New Edition, regardless of the drama, they never let the ego and pride get the best of them to where like nobody want to perform together, regardless of anything. These days it's kind of hard for boy bands and girl groups come together because it's so much ego and grudges and stuff, and that goes on. And one thing I could say about New Edition, is like I could picture somebody, joining that group that's never been a part with that group. You know what I'm saying? I mean, far as like currently, and stuff. But they always kept it together, man. And I'm glad that the older, everybody that involved and grew up, their legacy speaks for itself, and I'm glad that movie was out to tell the story, because a lot of times when you hear about stuff like this, people on social media would make up rumors and this and that. And I'm a type of person like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but at the same time too, I read it for to come out of the artist's mouth. Then I could go ahead and put my two together. I think that was the truth or was it a lie. But I wish that the New Edition story could have been like a whole full season. But BET, that budget, you know how that goes. You're only limited to what you can put out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. So tell us a little bit about R&B Soul Effect TV and where can people watch it and how can people get involved?
Yeah, R&B Soul Effect TV, is it's a platform, that celebrates, artists' music careers for the past and the present, and also, the future. I created a platform back in September 3rd, 2016. I'm gonna tell you what's so funny about it. At that time, I took a break, but I left rap alone, because I had a company that was opposite of it. When I left rap alone, I took a break for like a whole year, and I kept thinking to myself, like, what was the direction I want to do? But I remember when I kept having, R&B, artists come to me. I said, yo, I don't promote R&B, dude, so I can't help you. But I felt like, I had, there was something there that needed my attention. So when I was in the hospital, so I kept thinking to myself, like, okay, when I come home, I need to come up with a name that would stand out. First it was called R&B Soul TV. And then I said, nah, somebody might got that name. And then I changed it. I add the word effect on there. And the word effect is like you see different graphic 3D designs and stuff. So it's based around what you see on the platform. But yeah, man, me just working hard at it, man. Like the last 6 years, here it is. I mean, to go for 1,000, likes on Facebook. Now we at 35 likes on Facebook. I ain't put nobody behind it, man, as far as to try to build likes. All that was organically and stuff. For me, I wanted to bring something different to the table because no offense to other platform that does R&B, but it's actually platforms. They talk about the artist's birthday, what song went #1 on the R&B chart. They talk about the Hot 100. That's cool and all, but I'm more focused on the R&B because one thing I hate about the Hot 100, it's so narrated, make it feel like that the black artists was successful. Even though they, here it is, Steve Wonder got 20 #1 R&B hits. Nobody don't talk about that. Freddie Jackson got 10 #1 hits. Nobody don't talk about that stuff. But yeah, man, but far as R&B Soul Effect TV, you can find it on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Just for me, I invested to my platform, because for me, I want to take this company to a whole different, level. You can check out the interviews on Instagram. I got a sprinkle of them on YouTube, but I am currently working on a situation. I can't get the detail it is. But as far as filming, you guys gonna see on different streaming platforms and stuff, because I'm not gonna deal with television because having what it deal with big time project networks, the bad part about it, I would hate to, break something out there to for sure get canceled. Like, why do all that? I can go on a streaming platform and just have it last forever. So for me, my contribution, I wanted to bring something different for the Black community, just for all races that loves R&B. And I'm glad that, I got fans, man. I mean, from London, Africa, here in the US, Tokyo. I mean, like the list goes on, man. So to see where my platform has gone from there to now, man, it's a blessing, man. To have legends like Jimmy Jerry Lewis, Jody Watley, Peebo Bryce, Keith Lattimore, appreciate what I do as a whole different level. To have Janet Jackson, to like my post not once or twice, I knew I made it where my platform got recognized. So that was all I needed, man. It was bigger than a award.
Yes, sir. Independent is key. I'll say it again, people. Independent and key. Just know that if you're on your independent grind, it's going to be a struggle. You're not going to see the rewards right then and there. It's going to be a long haul. Also, ownership, copyright. I'll say it again. Ownership, copyright, and also trademark. Trademark that stuff, because you can have the idea today, but unless you get it trademarked and filed, somebody can snatch it and make money, and it won't be you.
Yeah, man, absolutely, man. Yeah, because it's good to be, say like independent. And all the reason why, I say that, because at least you own the stuff to your music. You ain't got to deal with no middleman, no nothing, because a lot of times, people will try to mess up, what build. Because I mean, true enough, I mean, I done had offers and stuff, but I shout it down because I'm a businessman, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna let my company, be swindled around and people mess my stuff up, just like what was it, last week I had a meeting. I'm not gonna mention the artist's name or nothing like that, but he had me talking to these two dudes on the phone and stuff. And the guy asked me how long is my interviews. I said, depends on the artist's schedule, plus depends on the length of their careers. Then he gonna ask me, he said, I'm gonna ask you again, how long is the interview? I said, dude, did you even listen to what I'm saying? And it's bad because, our peoples, man, we are our worst enemies when we say stupid things, you know what I'm saying? And that's what, hurt us. So I called old boy back. I said, dude, I appreciate you inviting me to this meeting, man, because they wanted to blow me up like the next night. I appreciate that. But at the same time, it's like, I'd rather do it my way. Because the thing is, those two bozos, saying like they said they're not even paying attention to what I'm saying. So I knew that, their situation was a fluke, and I knew it wasn't gonna work out, because one thing I can say, it's like you and I said before we went on air, just that, being a podcast host, me being a DJ, those are hobbies, you know what I'm saying? But as far as a businessman, that's our first priority, because we take, our job seriously. And I think the problem with our Black people is that we are good at, railroading each other, for all the wrong reasons and things. So, like I said, yeah, I had different offers, man. People from Facebook try to reach out to me, want to do business with me, but I could tell a shyster when I see it, because I'm a type of person, like, it's easy to expose that person that's, online, but I'm a type of person, like, I let you talk. Once they get to let you talk, then that's when I go ahead and make the conclusion of, this person is like BS. So, yeah, man, that's one thing I learned in life, is that you got to stay above the game. Don't let nobody get you out the
game. Facts. Drop that jewel, take it, and imprint it. Now, do you have any shouts you want to give, Mr. Soul Effect, before we conclude this interview? And also let the people know about your social media and platforms once again.
Okay. I just want to say, man, shouts to, besides the fans, shouts to the DJs, shouts to, certain public figures that show me love. Shouts to my family that have been supporting me, since I built, R&B Soul Effect TV like the last 6 years. Make sure you guys follow R&B Soul Effect TV, on all social media platforms. You can look on Google, so get on Facebook, click the link, you will see all kinds of stuff on there and things. But other than that, man, thank you, man, for inviting me to your podcast, man. I definitely appreciate that, man. This, us, that's been around the game for a long time, we don't get those type of interviews like it because people don't know our story until we start talking about it. But thank you, man, for inviting me, man. I really appreciate it, brother.
Oh, for sure. And you can catch this interview wherever you stream podcasts and on YouTube, Beyond the Album Cover, and also Facebook.com/Beyond the Album Cover. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause and thank you for Mr. Soul Effect for coming on to Beyond the Album Cover. This definitely will not be his last. Mr. Soul Effect, thank you once again for coming on, bro.
Thank you, bro, man. I appreciate it, man. We definitely got to do this again, man.
Bet.